Good morning. Welcome,
Hey.
YouTube. Glad you're joining us on the family meeting today. We're recording an episode on taking a look and exploring locally. So what do you have in your area that is really cool that you can share with your kids? So that's kind of what we're talking about today. We don't have a whole lot of exciting news to report to you this week. Do you guys ever have those weeks where you're just like, yeah, nothing's happening. We're just working. Like, this is what we do. We work.
I disagree with her because proof copies have been ordered of our newest book.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that happened. But you worked really hard on that.
Yeah, it took
Do you want to
way
share?
longer than what it should have.
Do you want to share how hard that was?
I fought Amazon's website for a week to get it.
It was an ugly fight.
It was crazy. So what
felt
should have
so
taken like 2 minutes took a week, literally.
Yeah.
So
and a week of like, I'm going to try this morning. I'm going to try this afternoon. I'm going to try tonight.
I'll sit there for an hour and wait for it to upload, and nope.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, error message after an hour. Let's try again.
It was like spiritual warfare against our book.
Yeah.
Well, and we really do want it to bless people. We want it to help get couples into the Word together.
Yeah.
And we've already talked about this. This is kind of funny. We decided that when the book comes in, we're going to go through it together daily. Even though we wrote it together, we want to experience it from the other side. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
I'm excited for that, actually.
And the amazing thing is no computers were harmed in getting the book out to Amazon.
I'm glad, because that would have made the process of making the book a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what's going on with us. I hope you're having a great week. I'm sure you're working hard and doing all the things. Let us know how your week is going. Let us know what you're up to. And hopefully today, this episode will encourage you to get out and check out your local area.
Okay. And now when you say local, how far is local for you?
We're going to have to decide that on this episode.
Okay, but you decide it right now for our podcast listeners. What's local to you?
I will tell you what is local to me. The county.
Okay. So if you
The county.
cross county lines, you're saying not local anymore.
Yep. I'm not saying you shouldn't explore that, but that's not what this episode is about.
Okay. Hopefully you have an interesting county.
Your turn. Start us off, babe.
All right, here we go. Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas, and this is my wife, Migraine.
Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 216 of the Family Meeting Podcast.
Whoa, that was quite the intro.
I'm so excited that you have joined us today. Am I pushing too hard?
I'm not sure.
On today's episode, we're going to discuss discovering your local area with your children. This was an episode that one of you, our listeners, suggested to us. We appreciate so much when you give us suggestions. We want to hear your ideas. We want to be relevant to you. So send in your episode ideas. Maybe you have a great episode idea that you would like to hear us discuss. Please send that in to us through our social media, through familymeeting.org. You can email us, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. But, you know, God really did put you where you are. He put us where we are. And where we are is a beautiful and unique place.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the same, right? And we can appreciate the beauty and the uniqueness of the areas that God put us individually. And we can praise Him for it, and we can enjoy His creation. But how do you do that? And affordably.
Well, and we've lived in a few different states now. Mm-hmm. And each place where we lived has had its own uniqueness to it, its own beauty.
Yes.
And has given us opportunities to explore different places. And that's true of wherever you're listening from. And so it'll be an interesting conversation as we dive into exploring your local area. Before we jump into that conversation, I've got to tell you, this week proof copies were ordered for 31 Days of Wisdom for couples.
Awesome.
Our devotional, making our way 31 days through the 31 chapters of the book of Proverbs, each day pulling out something that you can apply directly to your marriage. So it'll be a great resource for you, whether you want to just go through the book yourself or buy a couple copies, go through it together, and really work on your marriage relationship, find wisdom for that close relationship that God has given to you. So you can go to familymeeting.org/shop. You can pre-order your copy now. As soon as we get the proof copies and give the final approval, then it'll be time to ship those out to everybody who's pre-ordered.
Which is awesome. People are already pre-ordering. They are coming in, which is awesome. And I think one of the cool things about this book too is like you don't have to start on December 1st or January 1st. Whenever you guys decide, okay, we're going to make this commitment to study the Bible as a couple, whatever the date is, you can jump into that day in the middle of the book. Say you start on the 15th, go to day 15 and start there going through Proverbs. And then when you hit the first of the month, go back to the beginning, because each day is its own devotional day. So that kind of hit me the other day when I was on the treadmill. And I was like, that's going to be a good thing. So anyway, he's just staring at me. Maybe we should move on?
I don't know. You're next, so whatever you're doing. I don't know why you're looking this direction.
Listen, okay, I'm just going to be honest with our listeners. I'm fighting a migraine today, and it's getting better. I think it's been downgraded to a headache, but I'm definitely, I'm not all there. So bear with us today. All right, so we're going to start talking about exploring locally. And Thomas had a good question for me on YouTube, so I'm going to ask it to him now. What do you consider local?
I consider local basically anything within an hour and a half drive. Okay.
We differ. He asked me that question. I said local is your county, whatever's in your county. And what would you say is the farthest we can drive and still be in our county? I think 30 minutes. We're kind of in the middle of our county, aren't we?
30 minutes, 45 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on which direction you go.
Okay, so I would call that local. His radius is a little bit larger than that. Okay, so we have all these different ideas for you that you can explore and look at. We're talking about more than just nature. We're talking about like what your community has to offer. We also are qualifying this by free or extremely inexpensive. And the reason we're doing that is because not everybody has a lot of money. If you've got a bunch of kids, I always used to laugh because we have 4 kids. And I thought it was funny when people would say, oh, it's really cheap. It's only $30 a person.
And I'm like, there's 6 of us. That's almost $200.
Dude, we can't afford that. And I would try to be gracious and just be like, oh, and let them talk. But I was thinking to myself, like, that is very expensive to me. So what is very expensive to one person is very inexpensive to another. But whether you are wealthy or you are struggling paycheck to paycheck, these are going to be ideas that you can afford.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about today. We're not talking about like, hey, go to your local amusement park. Because not everybody can do that.
Well, and that's the question that came in. How do you affordably explore your local area? So
that's what we want to help you with today. Now, before we go on to these ideas that we have, I want to hear from Thomas. What do you do? So like we moved to Florida 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we all of a sudden had this brand new local area to explore. And we did it really well, all at Thomas's leadership. But Thomas, tell us what you do when you are in a new local area and you're ready to start exploring.
So I do this basically wherever we travel or wherever we're going to visit. I'm typically the one who looks up the different things that we're going to do. For instance, Lysandra and I just went to Hawaii for a couple of weeks. And so now Lysandra was excited about the trip, so she actually looked up some things herself, which is very unusual.
Very.
So I could tell you were like ultra excited about going on the trip. Mm-hmm. But I do that whether we're traveling somewhere like Hawaii or if it's just our own area. And the first thing that I kind of check is just TripAdvisor.
Okay.
So depending on what it is, you can literally just type in top restaurants near me or in whatever city you're in, top things to do for free. and they'll have a whole list of attractions and restaurants and different things that you can do. So TripAdvisor is one of those.
And that's free.
Yep, it's free. So, and just like Google.
Okay.
Right? So if you just Google whatever you want to do, like best hikes in whatever area you're at, there's going to be a list somewhere that somebody's put on a website or something else, all trails and different things like that. So those are a couple of places where I start, and then or it might be like best beaches in, because we live right near the beach, right? So best beaches in whatever. But being a part of your local Facebook groups is a huge thing. That was when we were talking about moving here to Palm Coast. That was one of the first things that I did, is I joined all the local Facebook groups so that I could start to gather information about this community, things to do and whatever else. So whether it's, you hear about things like when we lived in Cedar Rapids, there's a section called Nubo, and they had like this big, it's basically an indoor farmer's market, and they've got little pop-up restaurants and different things like that. And so your local community groups are a great way to find out about events that are happening and all those sorts of things. So it really doesn't take a lot of research. You pull up your phone, and within 5 to 10 minutes, you can find a lot of great things to do. And whether it's websites to follow or certain people in your community to follow that post about the events and different things coming up, free movie nights in the park and different things like that, where it doesn't take a lot of research and a lot of time to be able to connect with the people in your community who know and are familiar with what's going on.
I love that too, because I know that it's like, oh, it doesn't take much. We do this all the time. But there are some people who have never done it. I know for me, I don't remember how many years it was of you like surprising us by taking us here and there and everywhere before I knew exactly how you were finding these places.
Yeah.
I thought you were just a magician, So, but we have some new options for you too, other than even what we do. And we want to share these with you. And by exploring these following options, you are going to have plenty of opportunities to keep your kids entertained without breaking the bank. Okay, so finding local free activities for kids can be really fun and budget friendly, and it can be a great way to spend quality time together. Also, you can explore your local area as far as from the nature standpoint, with hikes and other things like that. So Thomas, why don't you share with us the first one that we have here? This is not going to be your favorite.
No, it's not my favorite, but especially when the girls were young, they would love this. In a lot of our family days, or just an afternoon, we would take a trip down to a local library. Mm-hmm. And especially when we were still in Cedar Rapids, they've got a great downtown library.
Yes.
With a lot going on, and so the girls would love that. They would just go all over the place looking at different things, would read them stories, and they've got the computers with the games on them, just different things like that. So your local library typically will have a lot of different things going on, offer things like free story times, which, depending upon the age of your kids, they're going to love that, being able to go to the library for story time. They'll often do like craft sessions where a certain day of the week at a certain time, they'll have somebody who's leading a craft that's typically free. You just show up and they have all the stuff for your kids and teach them how to do it. Educational events where they're kind of learning some things that are going on, and movie nights at the library. So you can check their websites or visit the library to ask about upcoming events. Follow your local library on social media. A lot of times they'll just post exactly what's going on. So,
yeah.
And they'll do things like free book rentals and, puzzles and games for kids, which can be a nice indoor activity.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the best ideas. This one, the local library, is a great idea for a winter activity if you live anywhere where it snows and gets cold in the winter. I remember often taking our kids to the library when it was cold.
Yep.
So that's a great way to do it. Another thing is the community centers. Your local area probably has a community center, and a lot of times they offer free classes and workshops. So that could be a really cool thing. They could have things like art classes, dance classes, sports activities for kids. Here in Palm Coast, they had a Sheriff's Pal program volleyball team that our girls I think they did it 2 years. I think they did it 2 years in a row, and they loved it so much. And this was not free, but it was extremely inexpensive. I cannot remember the cost.
Yeah, it was like $10 or $15 a kid for the whole time.
Yeah, for like 2 months.
The 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it was. I just saw a post on social media just a couple of days ago promoting it. And so it reminded me of when we had taken the kids to do that.
And they do soccer and basketball and stuff like that too, and they do it in the community center. So that was a really cool thing that that we were able to do. So but look online, find the schedules there, or you can call the center directly and stuff too. But another thing kind of in this line of thought, as far as I was kind of thinking about what we used to do with our kids in the winter in Iowa to keep them busy, especially when they were little. And we would find, we would go to the mall. Our city used to have 2 malls.
Yeah.
And they would have an indoor playground for kids. And so we would take them there, but we would also sometimes go to other cities, neighboring cities, and go to their mall's playland. And like, that was the day. The day was going to the mall, letting them play, get that energy out in a new play area where we were all warm, and then going to get, Wendy's little $5 biggie bags or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think they had those back then, but
no, but they would split dollar sandwiches and whatever else.
When they were little. Yeah.
We still, like, when we go to the mall and they have one of those little play areas, we still talk about, the girls would have loved that when they were small.
Yep. And we have pictures from it, and the kids loved it too. Playgrounds and parks are awesome. Now, this I took huge advantage of when our kids were little. And sometimes when your kids are teenagers, this is also awesome, and I'll explain why. But find the local parks and playgrounds that your city has. And when our kids were little, we were in Cedar Rapids. How big was Cedar Rapids?
175,000-ish.
So it was a larger city. And if you Google all the parks in a city that size, you're looking at like 30.
Yeah, so we would go to a different park almost every week.
Yep. And some of the parks are just like in a little local neighborhood.
Yeah. But they thought it was great because it was a different park that they'd never been to. They'd never been on those slides and whatever else.
Yep. Such an adventure. So really take advantage of all the parks that are around you. And some of them will have like walking paths you can do. So you can bring the scooters, you can bring the bicycles, you can walk it. Sometimes there's sports courts, where you're going to have tennis or you're going to have basketball or volleyball. For us now, we are Googling every volleyball net in the city.
Yeah.
And we go, wherever we go, he finds us a volleyball net. In fact, last family day, we were in Jack's Beach, and they had volleyball nets. And of course, we played sand volleyball with the girls.
Right on the beach there. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome. I was thinking of something else on this. Okay, so even your teenagers can sometimes enjoy the park and the playground. And one of the things that we would always do on the park and playground, and our girls sometimes still ask for this, is play tag. And you can't touch the ground. So you end up crawling on top of the tunnel slides and all the crazy climbing and stuff. This isn't a good idea to do if it's a busy park with a bunch of little children.
Yeah, most of the time we can't do that now because it's like, there's little kids here. And so, we're not going to scare the little kids.
But man, our kids loved playing tag. So when they're little, play tag with them. They will never forget it. And if they're teenagers, you can still play tag with them, but it has to be in the right circumstances where no little child is going to get knocked off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another is thing that you can do to kind of figure out what's going on is meetup groups and event apps. So things like meetup.com, where you can look for family-focused or kid-friendly meetups in your area. And you might find free play dates, group outings, or nature walks organized by other families.
Man, I love it when other people do the work.
Yeah.
And show up.
And you just get to kind of join in with people who are looking for the same thing you're looking for. So it's a great way for you to kind of meet some people in your local area and help your kids make some friends and things like that as well. And one of the things that we will often use is things like Eventbrite and Facebook events. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with Eventbrite, it's literally just a website full of events. And so whatever event's going on in your city, there's probably an Eventbrite for it. But Facebook events as well. And these platforms are great because they can help you find free local events. Mm-hmm. And so we would often find things like concerts in the park, fairs, festivals, educational workshops for kids. And one of the great things about this is you can use the filter. So you can kind of filter events. So if you're just looking for free, you can literally filter by free, which is kind of a cool thing. I don't know that this is on our list, but this is something I kind of thought of when we're talking about educational workshops and whatever else. Your local hardware store will often. Is that listed here?
No, but I was thinking about it. I didn't remember to put it on the list, but as you said workshops, I was like, oh, Home Depot does that.
Yeah, so I think Home Depot, Lowe's might do it. Some of your more like local ones might have some different things that they do, but I know especially the big box ones will often have workshops where they're building things and they're teaching your kids how to use different tools and equipment and different things like that. And so that's kind of an interesting thing. In a similar vein, I think there is some that do things as far as gardening and plants and all those sorts of things. So basically whatever genre thing like your kid is interested in, there is most likely a free or a very low cost educational type hands-on workshop that you can do with them.
Yeah. I remember a friend of ours had a little boy, and they would always do the Home Depot little workshops. And I know that it cost, but it didn't cost very much. And it was the cutest thing. He would get the little Home Depot orange apron, the little kids one. Yeah. And then he would build a little birdhouse or something. Yep. It was just the cutest thing. He loved it so much. A great thing to do in your local area. There's also community gardens a lot of times that you can participate in. And we had another family friend who would adopt a certain area of a community garden. And they would go and weed and water. And, you really learn a lot about that. And, of course, then they would have the plants to bring home and to give away. And that was a really neat thing to do locally. Okay, so another idea here is your nature reserves, your local parks and nature reserves. And as Thomas said, when you Google free things to do outdoors in Palm Coast or wherever you're located, these things hopefully will come out. But nature trails and hikes are the best. This is our favorite thing personally to do. We've done some of these other things, but typically when we are looking for something, we want to be outside. We like to be outside. We like to see nature. And a lot of cities have free access to parks and nature reserves, and these are great places for hiking or picnicking or just exploring nature. And you can make it more fun than just taking a walk through the woods. Make your kids a scavenger hunt where they have to find certain things. That is fun whether they're teens or children. Now, if they're teens, you have to have a prize. Oh, yeah. When they're kids, it's like you can just do a scavenger hunt and the winner and celebrating the winner is enough. But when they're teens, all you have to do is be like, whoever gets the most or the first is going to get a free slushie. I don't know.
Well, and along with this, you can, and we used to do this with our kids. We haven't in a while, but geocaching. Yes. And so for those of you that don't know what geocaching is, it's basically a worldwide scavenger hunt where little things are hidden all over the place. And I don't care where you live, you have geocaching in your area. And so I remember how excited our girls and competitive they would get to be the one to try to find the geocache. And so that is a very simple, free activity that you can go out and do and have a good time with wherever you are, whatever area of your city or of town that you want to explore that day. That can just add another little part to it where it's like, okay, we're going to go and do this workshop here. After the workshop is over, let's just pull up our geocaching app and just see if there's any geocaches around this area that we can look at and explore.
Yeah, it's really cool. I remember when the kids were little, our youngest daughter, Violet, couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
She just never could find them. And so the older girls would find the geocache and be like so excited but not say it because they were trying to help Violet find it. And then they would like casually go over to Violet and be like, let's look over here, Violet, and then let her find it. It was like the most precious thing ever. I will say this, the Osterhamps are not great geocachers.
No, we sometimes have a hard time finding it.
Or we sometimes don't find it. And it'll be like, somebody found it yesterday. It's been logged in that it was found yesterday. It should be here. And we will look for so long. And I remember around that sign at Buc-ee's.
Yes. Still have no idea where that was.
I don't know where it is. So if anybody knows where the geocache is around the sign at Buc-ee's in Daytona Beach, please let us know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
You have an assignment now that's going to get you out into nature. I say that in quotation marks. But some of these trails and stuff will even have like free guided nature walks or outdoor educational programs. That was not really our thing as a family. We would choose to explore on our own rather than having like a guided walk, but maybe you like that kind of thing. So that could be great for you. You mentioned the app Trailheads, right?
All trails.
So that's an app. Is it also a website?
There's a website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So All Trails, and check that out because for us, that's our favorite thing is to go hiking. So where can you find a trailhead and what's cool about that trail? But there could be free park activities too, outdoor concerts and festivals, all kinds of family-friendly events and all kinds of stuff, especially in the summer. So take advantage of all that stuff. If it's in the winter, go sledding. Find that great sledding hill and go sledding.
I'd rather not do that. So what about farmers markets?
Yeah, we did this with our kids.
Yeah, so many farmers markets have free activities for kids like face painting, free samples, live music. Some also have special educational events where kids can learn about where food comes from or how things grow. And we've kind of been on both sides of this where it's where we've taken our kids to kind of explore and see what everybody has and play the games and stuff with them. We've also have participated in farmers markets where we've led games for kids and different things like that. And so there's typically a lot of excitement and a lot of things going on at farmers markets, whether it's on your local Saturday morning or sometimes they do farmers markets at nights and different things like that. So there will be some in your area where you are. And it's a great way to kind of introduce your kids to a lot of local people and shops and things like that. So
yeah, I think it's great. Now we did, I remember pushing our triple stroller through the farmer's market.
Yep.
Which is difficult to do when you have a big, very big city's farmer's market and there's a lot of people coming around. Now my problem with farmer's market, and this may be your problem, but you might love them. When you have small kids, it's like, oh, there's lemonade. Oh, there's cookies here. Oh, there's brownies here. All this stuff. And so my kids were always, can you buy me one of these? Can you buy me one of these? And so that was the one reason why I was like, oh, a farmer's market. I'm going to have to say no a million times.
Yeah. Or it turns out it's not very free because you spent a bunch of money, but at least you're supporting like local people.
Exactly. So if you have the money to support the local businesses, awesome. If you don't, I highly recommend sitting down and having a talk with your kids and being like, now the whole time we're at the farmer's market, you're going to get one thing. So make sure you choose carefully your one thing, and then hopefully that will help you a little bit there, and then explain to them if they get their one thing, they don't get to ask for any more, and if they do, then we leave. So that can be a little help there on the side. Okay, museums and zoos. A lot of times they have free days. So a lot of times they have a free zoo. We actually went to the free zoo in Hawaii.
Yep.
And it was very nice. And we all said, how can they make this zoo free? It's so beautiful here. And we've done the St. Louis Zoo, which is free.
That's one of the best zoos I've ever been to. And it's free. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Minneapolis Zoo. There's two Minneapolis zoos. One is free.
One is free.
Not.
Yep.
So look around your area, whatever is local, and see if they have a free zoo or if they have free days at the zoo. But some museums do this as well, maybe an aquarium or whatever. I there again, I thought it was funny when people would tell me that Alligator Farm, which is kind of close to us here, Alligator Farm, it has this awesome special for homeschoolers on this day. It's only $35 a kid. And I'm like, awesome. Have fun. But maybe you can find something that is actually free or really inexpensive and something that you can afford.
Well, and it's like for us, my definition of local is a little different than Lysandra's, but we have a wilderness drive not far from here that is absolutely free, and it's loaded with wild alligators.
Yes, it's so cool.
When guests come from out of state, I'll almost always take them on that drive so they can see some wild Florida alligators, but it's free. You literally it's about an hour away. So you literally can just drive around. There's spots where you can get out and walk for a little bit and stuff like that, but it doesn't cost you anything, and it's a great experience, especially for people who are out of town, or we just every once in a while we'll go do it, especially when it's cold out and the gators are trying to sun themselves and get warm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of birds too. Between the alligators are the really cool thing, but a lot of times you'll see really interesting birds too. So
yeah, Ryan, you'd love that.
Yeah,
you'd love to go see all the birds that are out there.
It's awesome. So yeah, just look for those kinds of things, and you can look on their website for those things and Google it. Sometimes there is discounted or free entry for kids. So check on your local museum or your zoo websites for any special deals or discounts, especially if you are visiting during less crowded times. I do remember that there were like art museums and stuff that we would go to for free sometimes. It was not our kids' favorite.
No, but we went to the one, I think it was in Kansas City.
Yes.
And that's where the, what is that thing called?
Labyrinth.
Yes, the labyrinth. And it literally says on there, it's this big outdoor labyrinth. And it says, don't run.
Yeah, there's signs everywhere. Don't run, don't run. And then what did you do? You said, let's play tag, didn't you?
No.
Yeah, I think we played tag in there. It was supposed to be walking tag. You said we're going to do walking tag, and all of our kids ran into the things. Yes,
because I literally specifically told them, don't run. And the first thing they did is they took off running. And you think there's like nothing in front of you, and they would literally run face first into the wall.
It was so funny
and
awful.
And so we get further in there, and there's a little kid. This lady comes with two little kids. I mean, little kids. They were 3 or 4. And this kid does the same thing. He takes off running, and he's like, gets way ahead of the mom, and he's bashing his head off at every turn.
Like a pinball machine.
Yeah. And so he's like crying and stuff. And so I'm like, all right, just stay right there. And so I go and help this kid find his way back to his mom. And she's like, he does this every time we come here. And I'm like, why do you keep bringing him here? Like, he literally just kept bashing his head off the wall. So, but that was kind of an interesting free thing.
I will say, in that museum of art, our kids saw a lot of naked bodies. Art, remember? Everywhere we went, they were like, ew. And I was like, maybe art museums are not where we should be going.
That was definitely a mom's idea.
Yeah, I regretted it.
Hey, kids, want to go look at the naked paintings at the art museum? No.
Man, there's a lot of nudity in art, you guys. What is that about?
But speaking of nudity, public beaches and swimming areas.
No, not with your kids.
So, but if you live near the coast or a lake, visiting the beach or a public swimming area can be a great free way to spend time with kids. And we would often do this with our kids. Even when we were in Iowa, we'd find a swimming area. It wasn't a beach.
Yeah, but
they
lake?
would call it a beach, which is really funny.
They had the beach at the lake.
Yeah.
It's like rocks.
And mud.
Or mud. Rocks or mud.
Oh, yeah. So, but they would love it. They would love to go and spend that time swimming. It was a free thing, and you can pack a picnic, enjoy a day of sandcastle building, swimming, and beach games and whatever else. So, you can get very creative and have a good time with that.
Yeah. And a great spot for those is state parks. We would go to a lot of state parks in our area in Cedar Rapids. I'm trying to think if we haven't really been doing that here because we have the beaches, but we would go to a state park, which is a lot of times free entry, and then we would swim for a little while, then we'd go play on the playground, then we'd eat like a little lunch, then we'd go play on the playground some more, or we'd go to the other side of the state park and play on that playground. Because a lot of times at one single state park, they'll have several playgrounds in the camping area and near the beach and all that. So take advantage of those state parks. They're awesome. This is something that we do with our kids frequently from a church standpoint, but you don't have to do it from that standpoint, and that is volunteer or participate in a local event. So really getting into your local community. There are charities that you can participate in, and we've done the food pantry thing. We've done serving meals at the mission.
Christmas Come True, right?
We've wrapped and...
What is it, Sheltering Tree that we have locally?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So you can get involved in any of those. You can get involved with your schools or community organizations that host these family-friendly volunteer opportunities. And it's great for your kids to help out with the local food banks or community gardens, charity events, and all of these things. It's a great way to spend time together and get involved locally. So that's just another idea for you.
Yeah, and we've done the Fellowship Christian Athletes events.
Yep.
As a family, we've helped serve and work at those. So there's all kinds of opportunities, and it's a great way to get your kids to think not just about themselves, but about the people that are in your community as well.
I think my very favorite one is Egg Extravaganza. Our community puts on Egg Extravaganza right before Easter. And it's just where all these little vendors pop up, charities or whatever, with their tents, and they offer little egg-themed games with the kids and give out eggs with candy in them. And we invite everybody to our Easter services at the beach. And it's just so fun because we really get to interact with the kids. I like that event, I think, the most because we get to interact and we give out cookies and
you're giving these kids a really good time.
Yeah.
You know, all these families are out there just having a good time, and so it's a great way to interact with people in your community.
That's my favorite one. But
we kind of mentioned this at the onset as you asked me about how I kind of find what's going on, but local parenting blogs and social media groups, your city's got a ton of them, and so new ones are popping up here all the time, and it's just a matter of finding the people who are interested in very similar things that you are, that you can kind of follow along and get some tips and suggestions. And maybe it's just going on there and saying, hey, what are the great free family events that are going on this weekend? And you'll have 1,000 people who will jump on and tell you this or that. So it's just a great, easy way to find the information. You could follow local family bloggers who often share info about free activities in your area. I know just about every family day we're posting about whatever it is we did that day for family day. And so it's a great opportunity for people in our area to get some ideas about things they can visit. It's funny because we had been here, I don't even know if we'd been here a year at that point, and we had some people who had lived here for 30 years saying, you've seen more of this area than I have. And so you find a few people like that who are in your area that can give you some ideas about, oh, that's kind of a cool place to go. I never knew about that and whatever else. So,
All right, and then you can explore your local city's website. So if you check their official website or the local tourism board site, they'll sometimes list the free events, community programs, and like free public access to city-sponsored art installations, concerts, or festivals, or whatever else is going on. So check out your personal city website, and then when you've exhausted all that, or you haven't found what you wanted for this weekend or this week, check out your neighboring city's website. So what do you consider local? I said county. In our county, how many towns and cities are there?
I have no idea.
I don't know either, but a lot. So you could be doing this to all of the other city websites in your local area frequently and seeing what's coming up, and taking advantage of that. Or maybe you consider local to be more like Thomas, 45 minutes to an hour drive. Or did you say hour and a half?
Hour and a half-ish.
Hour and a half. That's a lot of cities in that amount of space.
Yeah.
So
Which
check
means
out
a
their websites.
lot to do, a lot to explore.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Word of mouth. Just asking friends or family for recommendations.
Yeah.
In fact, when we were living in Iowa, I forget who it was, but somebody had mentioned the hula hoop tree.
Oh, yeah.
And it is no longer around. They cut it down, which
So
really
sad.
ticked off a lot of people. But there was a tree, and it was kind of out in the country in Iowa that, for whatever reason, people, there's folklore about how it all got started, but people kept throwing hula hoops in the tree. And so there were literally hundreds of hula hoops in the tree. And so people would buy hula hoops, and they would drive out there, and then they would throw one up and try to get it to stick. And so it was kind of a very unique, very interesting, and local attraction. And the girls were smaller at that point. And so it was fun for them to try to get a hula hoop up in the tree themselves. But somebody had just mentioned it, and so once they mentioned it, I did a little search on it and found out where it was, and so we made the trip up there to see it. And then I guess there were too many cars on this like public road, and they were worried about people getting run over or hurt or whatever, and so they literally cut the thing down, which is so sad. It came up in my memories just the other day, and so I was reminded of that.
When Catherine and I were on a 16th birthday trip, somebody, word of mouth, said we were in Las Vegas, said you have to check out the rubber ducky tree. So this whole like idea of trees, hanging things on trees is a thing.
Yeah.
And they gave us a rubber ducky for her birthday and said, like, this is the hike, go find the rubber ducky tree. And we hiked all over the place. Thomas had to rescue us because we actually got lost in the desert outside of Las Vegas.
Yeah, so for that, I actually used my All Trails app and my Find My app, because Lysandra and I share location with each other 24/7. And so I could check her location on Find My and then look up on All Trails and tell her, all right, go this far, and then you should see a little trail off to the right. And so from a couple thousand miles away over my phone, I'm kind of directing them on how to find their way.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then when we finally did find the rubber ducky tree, it was awesome. It's just covered in rubber duckies tied on with strings and stuff. And so Catherine added hers to it. And of course we got our little pictures and whatever. And we just had so much fun on that little adventure. And I can't believe I got lost. I have a pretty good sense of direction. And I kept saying like, okay, I know we parked to the left of that mountain over there. So if we go towards the mountain and then turn left, we're going to go back to the car. But the problem is when you would pick a trail out there, the trail would all of a sudden like turn right, and you're now on this trail. And so like, it wasn't simple to just get over there. And all of a sudden he messages me or called me.
Yeah.
And you were like, you're going the wrong way. And I'm like, no, I know we're headed back toward the car. I picked the right trail. He's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
So he saved us once again.
Yeah. But that word of mouth, people that they know of hidden gems or free events that aren't widely advertised for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those end up being like the most memorable, the funnest activities for your kids.
We had a word of mouth hidden gem in Hawaii, a beach that most people didn't know about. If you park at this state park going over a treacherous road.
Yeah, it was a nightmare to drive on.
It was like scary that we were going to bottom out. But anyway, we did get there. Most people will go to the end of the road and like stop at that beach. Well, the word of mouth that we got was keep walking, keep going. How long, another mile?
Yeah.
If you walk another mile along the coast, you can get to beach after beach after beach. And if you go far enough, you end up where there are no people.
Yeah, which was fantastic.
We found a really gorgeous beach all to ourselves, thanks to Ashley Curdy and her secret information.
Yep. So
get that word.
We didn't find Dale's sticker.
No, we tried.
We did try to find Dale's sticker, but yeah, another great, just a word of mouth thing somebody found.
Yeah. Another thing you can check out is think about the season that you're in, because there are going to be some seasonal activities in your local area. And during certain seasons, there may be free activities tied to holidays or community traditions.
Well, and we're at fall right now, heading towards Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up, then New Year's after that. So there's a whole lot of seasonal events that are just right around the corner. And I know our town has a bunch of Christmas parades and tree lighting events and all kinds of stuff happening. So
yeah, take advantage of those, whatever season you're in. But even in summers, there's summer outdoor movie nights and there's the Easter thing. There's going to be probably some 4th of July stuff happening. So take advantage of whatever seasonal activities. And we've already kind of shared how you can find those through different websites or Facebook groups, social media groups, and things like that.
Movie theaters often run a bunch of specials.
Yeah.
I know we have theaters around here, and they did it in Iowa as well, where like kids get in free for certain kids movies during the summer, or they pay $1 and then they have like $1 popcorn, $1 hot dogs, $1 sodas, and so it's kind of rather than going to the theater and spending what
$1,000,
$50 or $75 for the 6 of us, we could go for a fraction of that cost and let the kids get a candy or a popcorn and a drink, and we've literally spent $3 a person. And so a lot of times they'll do that, and they don't typically do that for their newer movies, but it's like a lot of family friendly shows that maybe they've been out for a while, but it's a great experience for the kids and exciting for them to go to the theater.
Yeah. So. And I think that they do that because we were at the theater not too long ago when we had a bad weather day on our family day. And they were advertising like some Christmas movies coming up. So they're doing the same idea, but with old Christmas movies like It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street. We will not be going with Thomas, that's for sure. No,
we're taking our kids to see that.
But that can happen in the Christmas season too. I know they do it with like older classic movies. Was it around Halloween? They might have had the Halloween ones, but it's just like older movies at a weird time. And they're just trying to get people indoors, I think. So
they try to get you in the door for a little cheaper so that you'll buy concessions, and that's where they make their money. So
right, exactly.
One last thing.
Okay.
That I thought of. It's not on the list, and that is check out your local larger churches in your area because they will often have very family-friendly free events that are going on.
It's a great idea.
Different festivals and different things that they're doing. So a lot of times your larger churches that have more resources, they'll have some interesting and fun family events that you can go to.
That's a great idea. All of these different ideas can work for you. One thing that we do want to encourage you to do, though, is get outside. Go for the walks. Take the bike rides, take the scooters, have some fun with your kids, get out there locally. You can walk through your city. You can just take a random day and just walk downtown. See what you're going to find. Find the local shops.
One of our funnest family days that I remember when the girls were young, it was kind of, I think it was a fall day, and it was raining, and rather than just stay inside, we decided, you know what? We're going to throw on sweatshirts. We're going to grab some hats, and we're just going to walk around our city and find some stuff to do. And so that's exactly what we did, and we just had a great time. Yeah. Made a lot of great memories.
Yep. So walk your city. If it's cold out, you can walk, at least in Cedar Rapids, you can go a long distance in the skywalks.
Yeah. In
the skywalks in the winter. We did that a couple times too.
But the biggest thing is, like, when you talk about having an adventure or something with your kids, if you make it fun and make it an adventure, no matter what it is, your kids will have a good time. And it will be something that they remember.
Yes. So walk your city and walk your country. Walk the country of wherever you live. Get out into the outskirts of the city. Get out into nature. And that's the kind of two things I think that more than anything I want you to take away is get out and do some walking, get some exercise in, and really just get out there and experience it. Experience where you live, because where you live is awesome. Maybe you don't love it. Maybe it's not your dream, but where you live is awesome. God put you there. Enjoy where he put you. Have a good time with your kids.
So family meeting idea tonight, you're going to gather the entire family together and you're going to start planning some fun local adventures. So get your kids involved in the planning process of that and ask them about the different things that they love about their city, things that they're excited about. Get them involved in the research. Even if your kid's very young, they can probably work a phone and a computer better than you can. So you can start to explore some of those things and those options, look up some things and show them and start to get some plans and build some excitement about some local family days in your area.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org. If you hit the shop tab, you can go and pre-order our new book, 31 Days of Wisdom for Couples. It'll be out very soon. You can email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062, and we will answer those questions on an episode.
Sounds great. We want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we discuss Friendsgiving. So Thanksgiving is just around the corner, but how can you make this time of year special for your friends and your children's friends? We're going to talk about not just family time. We've had a couple of episodes, I think, in the past about Thanksgiving with your family, and we know extended family can make things difficult, and the more family you gather together, sometimes the harder it is. And we do have episodes on that, but this year we're going to talk about friends and how can you incorporate friends into your family.
Friends are the family you choose.
Truth.
So we're going to spend some time with a lot of those friends. We've got our Friendsgiving coming up this Friday, just a couple days away.
Yeah.
And looking forward to a special time together with our friends. And for this one, we said no kids. So our kids are being shipped off to grandparents' house, and it's literally just going to be us and our friends enjoying some food, hanging out together, having a good time. And we encourage you to do that same thing for you and for your kids as well. Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
All right. So what is the best spot in your local area? If we were going to come to you and be like, what's the hidden gem? Where is the place to go? What would you tell us? Where would you send us?
Or what's your favorite local event? It's like, okay, this is coming up every year, and this is the thing you've got to go to, whether it's something like we have local, like the extravaganza around Easter time, or the different Christmas parades. We have one parade in Flagler Beach where Santa jumps out of a plane and he parachutes down onto the beach, and as soon as he hits the beach, that is the start of the parade. So it's like a little local thing, tradition that everybody just kind of looks forward to. What is that in your area? Put it in the comments. We'd love to have a conversation about that, maybe get some ideas for some things that we can do here.
Thanks for joining us today, and we hope that you have a great week. We will see you next time.